Hello, World Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger, and update 6.7 is here. The long anticipated Sheridan and T92E1, the American light tanks at tier 9 and 10 with the ATGMs. Yeah, interesting concept. They've brought back guided missiles, a lot more difficult to use than last time, a little bit more fair, I would say, balanced, and quite honestly, mostly a gimmick at this point in time based upon my initial 10 first games in these tanks. Um, but that's not to say that these two tanks aren't wonderful in of themselves. So wanted to just talk about update 6.7 and some of the changes that you will see. Alright, so as we switch on over here to update 6.7 and see what changes are in store. Obviously the two light tanks here, you can see not a lot of armor on the tier 9. The tier 10 here, the pink, is spaced armor, so you don't have to worry quite as much about the HE coming at you, but you can see both these guns exactly the same. The only difference there is a slightly increased reload time on the tier 10, obviously going to increase your damage per minute, which is 2660 according to this. Obviously this is not all confirmed yet, so we'll get to that here later. Some other minor improvements. The grill has got a little bit more concealment. FV215B lost 100 hit points. 121B got some rate of fire increases here, so your damage per minute numbers are going to go up. I'll be interested to look at that. The Foch 155, the much anticipated nerfing here. Biggest change, 960 damage from the HE goes down to 680. So obviously a big hit there to the damage per minute numbers. Standard B at tier 9, the dispersion increases in the Progetto. Just some minor changes here. I think they're just trying to bring this one up into balance with some of the rest of the tier 10 tanks. Alright, so as we continue through Blitz Hangar here, you'll see there's quite a few tanks that got armor buffs. As we just scroll through them here, you see light pink going to dark pink. Of interesting notes, so I can get to it here. Tiger 1, look at this, nice frontal armor. Panther gets a little bit around the turret. The E75 looks like they just cleaned up a few little spots on it. J Panther obviously gets a nice little. How about the AT8? Look at this. Look at all this red. They even made the hatch a little bit harder to hit. I think that is a much needed buff. Alright guys, so I only had time to play a couple games in each of these two tanks. Now I do want to refer you back to my T49 video that I just put out. Really goes through some of the better play styles, how not to play, how to play the T49 to maximize your damage. But the one difference I want to point out with this tank is that you have APCR, you have the guided missile, and you have HE. You can see straight off the bat just how fast this tank is. And basically all I wanted to do was get out here and get some spots in and get back to cover. And you can see we've got a couple guys, that are just going to camp out this whole game. So I was really just trying to suss out where the team was going. I didn't realize that 3 of those guys had continued on up into the corner. So I kind of left them behind. Primarily because I saw these guys sitting back here along this ridge line. But what I'm going to do here, 65 kilometers per hour, is since I know that the Jagdpanzer E100 is over there, I'm pretty confident that there's not going to be anyone sitting up here in this spawn camping spot. So I'm going to try to get behind them and get some shots in. And to finish out the point I'm trying to make here, with APCR, your average damage is 560. Okay, your HE is 640, so you've got an 80 hit point difference, provided that your HE pens. So you've got to, in my opinion, you've got to be really confident that your HE is going to pen in order to use it. Otherwise, you're really missing out on some hit points because your APCR number is so good. Put it in perspective here, the guided missile average damage is 545. So again, those numbers: 560 for your APCR, 545 for your guided missile, and 640 for your HE. Now, the guided missile has 374 mil of pen on it, so you're gonna pen just about most all tanks, unless you just get unfortunate. But again, you can see here, I'm using this tank speed, coming in, getting a shot off, and running away. And kind of one of the things I talked about in my T49 video was really just never slow down if you're in a light tank. I'm continuously trying to draw these guys over the ridgeline to my 2 remaining tanks, and we're a little bit behind. Obviously we are down a tank, and we're down just a little bit in cap points, but I'm still working this ridgeline, trying to get these guys to, to obviously expose themselves to our 2 campers. Just real quick, I think the guided missile, it's a bit of a gimmick. It's really difficult to control, and I do use it in this game, and I think it really should just be a secondary option. This was not a smart move here, as I do take a lot of damage coming up and over. And take one more shot here. And so now 227 hit points remaining. It's time for me just to go cap C and obviously put some distance. I've done as much as I can as far as trying to spot and help out our 2 non-moving tanks. And that was the other thing I did talk about in the T49 video, is be aware of your teammates. I do say, obviously, this is a light tank. Your job is to spot, but there's no point spotting if your players aren't going to be getting to places on the map where obviously they can get shots in. So now with 2 caps, we should start to overtake them in cap points alone. And so, you've got these 2 guys here. I'm going to focus in on the 57 Heavy, and he's kind of just hiding around this rock. So off goes the missile, and we can keep that point, just point it on him and drop it in there. But at a distance like that, it's really, really difficult to control. I went into some test rooms and just tried to get a gauge as to, how fast the missile was going. It goes about 300 meters in about 6 seconds. So you can see this guy's 300. That was an APCR shot. So as we pull back up, like I said, he's about 300 meters, so we're going to switch it over here to the missile. Just because he's hiding behind this rock, I want to see if we can just squeak it in there, and off goes the missile. And yeah, I think that's about 6 seconds to get that distance, but obviously you can see how much he drove away there. So 3479 damage. I mean, the damage numbers can get large because you're doing 560 with APCR. So you don't have to worry about that stupid heat on the T49. You're guaranteed to pen most everything, and with your speed, mobility, you can get around and get weak spots. So I do think this tank is going to be a good tank, but not in the way people were anticipating it with the missile. I don't think you're going to get much damage out of the missiles. So only time will tell. And like I said, I think the best thing here is just to jump into training rooms, test it out for yourselves, and you're gonna just start having to like count down in your head to know how far that missile is because you just can't tell in game. So with that, guys, looks like a fun update, and that's our key, right? Just have fun out here. So remember, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.